Hello, beautiful humans. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, February 11th. I'm Megan Connor. I am the cousin of Lori Vallow Daybell, and I'm here to report some more craziness in the Arizona conspiracy trial of Lori Vallow Daybell. So I'm a few days late on this. I realize this. I've been working on other things for my channel. I've been very busy, so I apologize. This is coming to you a few days late, but I just wanted to make sure and give you the latest update. We know that a couple of weeks ago, Lori Vallow Daybell filed to have one portion of her Arizona cases dismissed. She has already been convicted, obviously, in Idaho, and she's been extradited to Arizona to stand trial for conspiracy in the death of her fourth husband, Charles Vallow, and also conspiracy for attempted murder in the attempted shooting of Brandon Boudreaux, who is her niece Melanie's former husband. If you're just now coming to the case, I'm so sorry. You have a lot of catching up to do. There are so many players and it's very complicated. I am going to do a full recap a little as we get a little closer to trial so that you'll be able to understand all of the people who are involved in this case. So the Arizona cases are two separate cases. A couple of weeks ago, Lori filed to have the Brandon Boudreaux portion of her case dismissed, citing that her speedy trial rights have been violated. Now, she's representing herself because, of course, she is the most qualified person in the world to represent herself. That's sarcasm. She's just delusional, as we know. So Judge Boreski denied that motion, citing that the delays in her case were essential to the process of justice. There were some continuances that were applied for by her previous attorneys because of the voluminous amount of discovery in the case. And then she also had to be declared competent to stand trial. Her previous attorneys also filed for a Rule 11 hearing to determine her competency. She had to be evaluated. That delayed things for quite a while, but it was obviously necessary. So that's what Judge Boreski ruled. He denied that motion. This is a new motion to have both cases dismissed for the exact same reason, basically, saying that her speedy trial rights have been violated. So this is going to be a rather quick live stream. I just wanted to bring you the information. I am going to read through those two motions. And as always, please excuse my dogs, the noises in the background. It is raining here in San Antonio today. And so they're trapped inside the house and they have the zoomies. So just going to put that disclaimer up there. So let's go ahead and go to the motions. So we're going to go through the motions of reading through her latest quackery. So again, I always follow Justin Lum on X. He is the original investigative journalist who brought this case to the general public in Phoenix back in 2019, beginning with the death of Charles Vallow. He probably had no idea what he was signing on for when he first started covering this case, but he continues to cover it very well. And he is there in Phoenix. He's been in the courtroom for all of these proceedings that have taken place. And so I always look to his X account to see what the latest updates are. So he says, this was February 7th. Obviously, we're a few days behind. He says, Lori Vallow Daybell's latest motion to dismiss both her cases for violation of Speedy Trial Act. She was recently denied on motion to dismiss murder conspiracy case related to attempted shooting of Brandon Boudreaux. Now she says no extension of time was warranted in both cases. So here is the actual filing. Hello to everyone first joining us this morning. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you always supporting the channel. Please like the episode, share it with someone who needs to have the updates on the case. And as always, please subscribe and hit notifications so that you'll know next time I go live. Who knows when it's going to be? We just never know what's going to happen in this case. So this is the actual motion that we're looking at here that Lori has filed. It looks like she finally has access to a computer, or at least her legal assistant has access to a computer. She has been assigned to advisory council attorneys to help her with her case, and an assistant who can help her with making appointments and filing motions. And obviously, I think typing this up, done by the paralegal for the defendant, Ana Elena Ramirez. I don't envy her that job. So this is State of Arizona versus Lori Daybell. The defendant, Lori Daybell, respectfully requests this court dismiss both cases due to the state's and the court's violation of the Speedy Trial Act. Facts and argument. According to Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure, the 8.2 rules do not apply to this defendant. Lori never thinks that the rules apply to her, no matter what the case is, but here she's citing a legal argument. This defendant is a prisoner in another state, specifically the state of Idaho. In accordance, the Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure 8.3a, prisoner in another state, it says in this court's minute entry dated January 27th, 2025, the judge references that each and every extension of the last day has been permissible and appropriate under Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure, Rules 8.1, 8.4, and 8.5. This is Lori's voice now. The court completely ignores the fact that this defendant falls under Rule 8.3. None of the delays have been applicable to this defendant. Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure 8.3a state, quote, the defendant must be brought to trial no later than 90 days after having been delivered into the custody of the appropriate authority of the state of Arizona. This defendant was delivered to the custody of Maricopa County Sheriff's Office in the state of Arizona on November 30th, 2023, according to the Interstate Agreement of Detainer, which in effect would begin this 8.3a 90-day trial deadline for both trials on November 30th, 2023. Yes. Okay. Right. So she's saying that 90 days begins on the day she arrived in Arizona, November 30th, 2023. Therefore, this defendant should have been brought to trial no later than 90 days from the date of November 30th, 2023 on both cases mentioned above. That date would have been February 28th, 2024. This court ignored these facts. According to Arizona's own laws and rules, this defendant's constitutional Sixth Amendment right to a speedy trial in both cases have been violated by the initial judge at the arraignment on December 7th, 2023, when the initial trial date was set. Interstate Agreement of Detainees was enacted on November 30th, 2023, when the custody of the defendant was turned over to the state of Arizona, and it's evidence to the violation of the Speedy Trial Act, as well as the violations listed below. And I'm not going to go through every single one of those. She's citing these different cases and rules. I'm just going to skip to the bottom here. The state's failure to bring the defendant to trial within Rule 8.3, basically, because the defendant is an out-of-state prisoner, this rule is specific to her and allows 90 days for Speedy Trial Act cites the case law. Furthermore, the state and 8.2 apply this incorrect time limit from IAD to disposition. This rule applies only to in-state prisoners and the specific county to which indictment was sought against the defendant for speedy trial request. The state has only 90 days from IAD to disposition, agreement, authorization, violation by the state of Arizona, Speedy Trial Act, blah, 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 blah. Okay. The 90 days begins when the defendant is taken into custody by the state of Arizona. The comment to this rule states that the violation of this time limit is grounds for dismissal of charges with prejudice, citing State v. Burris, looks like. Federal laws govern the interpretation of the IAD Speedy Trial Rule. The Speedy Trial Rule is applicable to persons in prison without the state. The purpose of the IAD is to implement the right to a speedy trial and to minimize interference with a prisoner's treatment and rehabilitation. Therefore, ARS 31481 is to encourage only the expeditious and orderly disposition of such charges for extradition. It is the determination of the defense that the state of Arizona had no intention of honoring this defendant's constitutional Sixth Amendment right to a speedy trial. And this is the end of the first post, so I'm going to go to the second post now with the rest of the motion. Arizona violated this right blatantly, ignoring completely 8.3a. The Sixth Amendment declares, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial. The rule of Arizona criminal procedure that applies to this defendant is 8.3, not 8.2. The state and this court have misled the defendant and the public to believe that this defendant would fall under the 8.2 rule, when in fact, it never applied to this defendant. The defendant's former attorneys breached their duty by not notifying the court nor the defendant of the rules that applied to her as a, quote, prisoner in another state's right to a speedy trial. The attorneys violated their duty. The courts violated their duty. The defendant should not be punished for these violations. The defendant has made it clear from the time she arrived in Arizona that she would not waive her right to a speedy trial. The defendant's constitutional right to a speedy trial does not go away because the court determines, well, this is the way we always do it. I've never heard anything less lawyerly in a motion in all my life, except for the last one. The handwritten ones. Those were pretty cool. Conclusion. No extension was ever warranted in these cases. Each and every extension of the last day that were granted by this court in these cases have not been appropriate or permissible because they were issued from Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure 8.2, not Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure 8.3. Therefore, they are null and void. If the state should attempt to file an ends of justice exclusion from the speedy trial clock, it would abuse its discretion. The state had 90 days. The state failed to bring this defendant to trial. The state has violated their own rule of law of due process and the Speedy Trial Act. The defendant's evidence of said violations shows just cause to warrant this court to grant this motion to dismiss both cases, not going to read the whole number, on violation of the Speedy Trial Act. The defendant has shown substantial evidence that is required by the state and federal laws as listed above to support the immediate dismissal of both cases. Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure 8.6, quote, if the court determines after excluding any applicable time periods that a time limit established by these rules has been violated, the court must dismiss the prosecution with or without prejudice. The court, this is Lori's voice again, the court has violated these rules from the arraignment when the first trial setting was made. It was not Judge Boreski, but the first judge assigned to this case matter who violated the defendant's right to a speedy trial under Rule 8.3, which, again, this is like double speak over here because she's saying 8.3 doesn't apply to her, but now she's citing 8.3 again. What a mess. No extended time period should have ever been implemented. Dated this 4th of February, 2025, signed by Lori Daybell, number G062213, pro per. So there you have it, people. I don't know about you, but I think it's pretty obvious that Lori is absolutely 100% correct. She definitely should have both of these cases dismissed because the rules don't apply to her. That's basically the argument that she's making. She's saying, you know, the first judge that arraigned her set the trial date in February of 2024 and therefore violated the 90-day rule before she even saw Judge Boreski. So that's what she's trying to argue here. So I don't want to belabor this or stay on this too long, but I do want to answer any questions that you might have or comments that you might have. I'm feeling very snarky this morning because I'm to the point, and I have been here for a long time, where it's just, this is all just ridiculous. It's all just ridiculous. If she had any sense of remorse or contrition for any of the things that she has done in the past 6 or 7 years, she would just plead guilty and get the time assigned, you know, tacked on to whatever she's serving in Idaho, which is consecutive life sentences, by the way. She's never going to see the light of day. She's clearly enjoying this process of playing attorney, and I'm fed up with it, as I think everyone is. So I'm at the point now where I'm just going to be snarky about it. I can't really help it sometimes. So please forgive me if I just have no patience for her and her tomfoolery. Let's see how many words we can use to describe her absurdity. So anyway, thank you for being here, to all 120 of you, however many you are. And to those of you who are watching this later, lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I am always an advocate for talking about how we got here and learning how to heal from it. And that is the purpose of the channel. So I am giving these updates as a matter of remaining informed about this case that's coming up, that's going to start at the end of March of this year with jury selection starting on March 31st. I'm going to be just bringing all of the information, but also the commentary having to do with my experiences growing up with Lori and the ways in which I think it's important for all of us to be aware of people who have narcissistic personality traits, of people who are manipulative and controlling. I want to call attention to these behaviors so that we can learn to avoid them in the future, and so that we can learn in our current relationships how to have healthier relationships, healthier religions, healthier family systems. That's always what I'm going to be talking about. So thank you so much for being here. And if you have questions, please call attention to them. I'm a very visual person, and I might skip over them if I don't see them. So Sis, You Should Have Been a Detective says there is a book title that I read that describes Lori: Too Much and Never Enough. 100%. Was this book title about Lori's case? I want to say it is. I want to say that sounds really familiar to me. Too Much and Never Enough. Sorry, Mary, that you did not get a notification about this live. I don't know how to fix that up, except to say that there are settings on YouTube when you go on the web, and then there are settings on your phone and whatever device you're consuming YouTube on. So if you just check settings in both places, hopefully that will take care of it. You have to, I think, turn on all notifications for this channel, and then also for YouTube, and then also on your device. So I know it can be frustrating and confusing. And if you've done all of those things and you're still not getting a notification, I would let YouTube know. I personally don't know how to fix that. I'm very sorry. It sounds like a lot of you did not get a notification, so I apologize. Also, I created this live stream and then went live probably less than 10 minutes later. So sometimes if I create the live stream in the studio and then I don't go live until the next day or till several hours later, maybe that gives the YouTube proper time to notify you. So that could be part of it as well. So I'll do my best to schedule these things in advance so that everyone gets notified. Shirley says, the court misled her, says the queen of misleading people. I love that. Oh, goodness. Yeah, the narcissist in her will not allow her to give in. She's incapable of accepting responsibility. She's also incapable of admitting any kind of fault. And so her pleading guilty would be unprecedented in her life. Definitely would be a tactic for sure. Lou, I like this. Mayhem and foolishness come to mind. I think I'm gonna make a list of all of these adjectives describing Lori's lawyering. That's a mouthful. And we'll just, we'll pick one for the day. We'll have a little, drawing out of a hat or something to decide which one we're going to use. Sis, thanks for this. Your hair looks really pretty. You're doing a good job on all of it. Damn, Lori, forever making you feel less in any way. Thank you so much. I appreciate that kindness. Oh, yes, Mary Trump's book. I actually just ordered this book. That's why it sounds so familiar to me, because I just ordered the book. I'm going to be reading it and doing a review of it, as well as commenting on some of the traits of our current commander-in-chief, just because I think there are some similarities. Shirley says, after this court case, we will never have to hear from Lori again, ever. I'm looking forward to it. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but she has two cases. So there's this case and then yet another case that's going to come after that. So stay tuned. I'm sure Lori's going to take advantage of every opportunity to be in the spotlight and on the stage. I'm glad that you guys are not bothered by my snark because that's just where I am. Oh, goodness. Yes, and I want to say Matt as a Hatter was the first one here this morning. I saw you showing up there, so you did receive a notification. I'm glad you did. CC, I like this. Self-serving, selfish, delusional, and as you said, Not a thought or remorse for anything she has done. Last chance saloon to star in her own show and be the queen of the courtroom, Lady Dumbbell. I like it. Thank you. Yeah, that book was written by Mary Trump, Donald Trump's niece, and I cannot wait to dig into it. I put it off for a long time. Just I had lots of feelings about it, so I just put it off for a long time, but I think it's time now. So, yes, definitely incompetent. I agree with that. Matt as a Hatter asks, does she really think these motions will work, or is she just playing a game? I think that Lori fits the profile of a classic malignant narcissist in her personality traits that we can talk about here are that she is delusional. She's deluded of her own importance. And she also really believes that she is entitled. She really believes the rules don't apply to her. She believes she's entitled to special treatment. And so I think she really does think these motions will work. I think that she's grasping at whatever straws she possibly can to tell the judge and prove to the judge that she really is as special and important as she believes she is. So I don't think she's playing it. Well, she is playing a game to a certain extent. People with these personality styles do play this game all the time of trying to put information in front of you that favors their position. Whether that information is true or not, whether it actually applies to them or not, that's going to be part of their tactics. So Naomi says, can I say Lori is just plain weird? Yes. I don't think that that's out of line at all, but it's unfortunately not just plain weird. She's weird and a whole bunch of other stuff that we could talk about. We have talked about. And yes, she will continue appeals over and over and over. She has nothing better to do with her time but to play Lori the lawyer. I'm gonna have to start referring to her by her nickname that we used in childhood, where we called her Lolo, Loco Lolo. That has a nice ring to it. I think that's just what I'm gonna call her from now on. Yes, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to continue to be there. I think that's just what's appropriate. And Martha, thank you so much, or Margie Z, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate your support so much. Margie is one of the most generous channel members. She is always giving super chats and super stickers. So Margie, I really appreciate seeing your smiling face on those super stickers. And thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate that. Thanks for this. I appreciate that. Yes. And we're all tired of it. Yeah, this is the ultimate LARP. For those of you who aren't familiar with the acronym, live action role play, where people dress up in costumes and then pretend to be other people, historical figures. Comic-Con comes to mind, but they are referred to as LARPers, live action role play, LARP. And this is the ultimate LARP for Lori. Although she doesn't yet have a costume, she is still in her prison attire. But as soon as there is a jury in the courtroom or potential jurors in the courtroom, she will be allowed to wear street clothes. So cites case law, then the next sentence. So it ain't fair. Exactly. That's exactly what's going on. Ellie says, I also think she really believes she's a modern day prophet being persecuted. She feels even more important than she ever thought Chad to be. I think she's so far gone. And I agree with her on this too. She does believe she's a modern day prophet. She believes she is an exalted being. She is above all of us. And so the rules don't apply to her. And we've seen lots of evidence of that. Yes, I believe that this is absolutely the tack that Lori's going to take. She did this prior to the shooting anyway. She was always trying to get family members to believe that Charles cheated on her and that he was, a terrible person, and then ultimately that he was inhabited by an evil spirit. So I think that that's going to be her tactic in court as well. Don't think that the prosecution have other cases. Don't Doesn't she think that the prosecution has other cases? Yeah, it's always gonna be all about her, so I appreciate that. Yeah, Margie, thanks for I don't know if it's Margie or Margie, I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. Book Fund, thank you so much for that. Dr. Molly says, "Didn't Lori's father represent himself against the IRS? Is she following in his footsteps?" Yes, and yes, I believe. I am going to do sort of a I don't know, informational episode about Lori's dad, his case with the IRS, his other cases, and because I think that really does explain what's going on with Lori here. I think she had that example set for her at a young age. Her dad feeling above the law and also representing himself in court, suing the IRS, saying that they're an illegal organization and that nobody should be paying taxes. And then he did go to prison. So I want people to understand that because I think it's important to the understanding of what's happening right now in Arizona. So coming soon, it's on my list of many things that I need to do. This sure would be funny. I wouldn't be surprised if Loca Lolo attempted to appear in court while wearing a swimsuit. I mean, that would really be on brand for her. I think it's fortunate for all of us that Judge Boreski probably would not allow that because she probably would do it if she could. Or a ball gown, maybe. Maybe her Mrs. Texas ball gown that she wore in the pageant. I hope this too. I sure hope Summer and Janice do not help smear Charles. And this is, again, it's so easy for me to be snarky until I think about the actual victims and the actual people who've been harmed by this whole case, myself included. I don't consider myself a victim necessarily, but this case has deeply affected me. And the death of children is always going to be so tragic. But especially in this circumstance where it was a mother, it was the people who were supposed to be caring for those children. So just awful. I really hope that she does that Summer and Janice do not help to smear Charles. Wendy G, it's shocking the judge denied her after she underlined and used exclamation marks on her papers. She clearly put a lot of effort into this motion. How dare the judge deny it? I'm sure this is going to be denied just like the last one was denied as well. T. Adams says, I think she's acting out. Ultimate tantrum. Her appearance is why she's really mad. She's a superficial human. So true. So true. Shirley, thank you so much for asking this. I do have a Patreon and I do have a Venmo. My Patreon, I'm getting ready to shift over to a Kajabi community. I'm hoping to get that done by my Independence Day anniversary of February 14th. For the time being, you can find me on all social media at @3rd_verse, which is also my Venmo. So if you wish to donate to the podcast, I would appreciate your support. This is my full-time job. I also do one-on-one coaching, and I also have an e-course about how to identify and defend against manipulation and control in your personal relationships. If you'd like information on the e-course, you can email me at askmegan@gmail.com. That's Megan with 2 E's, ask MEEGAN @gmail.com. Thank you so much for asking about this. Matt as a Hatter says, this is so interesting to me. I have a family who deals with delusional thinking. It manifests very different than Lori, but I see similarities and it's so hard to interact with. Yes, which is why I designed my e-course to help people deal with these types of relationships because it can be very tricky. It can be extremely draining. And I want people out there to be able to spend their energy on themselves and the people they love and care about and not have their energy drained by people like this. So, Dom's mom, good to see you here, 725. Oh, yay, happy to catch you live. Late to the party, have to rewind to start from the beginning. Been loving your latest content. I wish you so much success with this channel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys for being here. Thanks for helping me unpack this morning. Matt as a Hatter says, I still take time to think about those who lost their lives in this case and grieve the loss of 2 beautiful children. They all deserve to be remembered often. And I could not have said it better myself. I really want to just end on this because this is the most important thing, to get justice for the true heroes in this case. Charles, who tried so hard to get attention called to Lori's delusion and craziness, and the two beautiful children who lost their lives, as well as Tammy and Charles. And thank goodness Brandon survived the attempt on his life. And I think that is a perfect place to end. Thanks for being here, and come back to the channel often for more updates. Take care.